Hi there, my name is Joy Miller. I'm a current UCF student and soon to be UCF graduate. Today I'm going to be answering a few interview questions for you. So my first question is, what skills and qualities does it take to be a good motion designer? I think to be a good motion designer, you need the necessary soft skills that it takes to be a visual creator in any regard. One of the most important soft skills of being a visual creator is just to understand what you're creating on a fundamental level. Because if you can do that, then your process is going to be so much easier because you're not going to have to keep referencing back to a very basic and fundamental level of understanding what you're even trying to create in the first place. Secondly, I think that motion designers should be able to communicate their concepts to anyone. So if someone were to ask about the project that they're working on, it shouldn't be difficult for them to convey what they're creating. They should be able to have that understanding and then have the language within their grasp to communicate that to anyone. But also, they should be able to visually communicate their concepts to anyone. And that means having the technical abilities that it takes to bring their ideas to life. My second question is, what are the major steps in my creative process? So for me, the first step in my creative process is, regardless of what I'm creating, is always to gather references. And there's two layers to that for me. The first layer is inspiration references, and this is just getting a ballpark of a visual concept for me. So I will look online and try to find pieces that inspire me and pieces that kind of have a general idea of what I'm trying to go for. The next step is narrowing down those references that are more literal, that are going to be more literally interpreted into my work. So if I need a drawing and I need a drawing reference of like a figure, then I'll start seeking that out in the second stage of conceptual development. I think it's really important for, if you're creating something visually, to have a very thorough idea of it in your head. That way you're not asking questions along the way. The next two stages of my creative process are heavily corrective. So the second stage I consider to be the flow state of creating, and that's just me doing all of my work in a very streamlined process and occasionally going back and taking corrective measures to make sure that I am on the path that I wanted to be when I initially started. My next stage would be when I am pretty much done with my art. I'm considering it finished, and I look back and basically kind of do a mental checklist if I'm at the standards that I initially set out when I started creating. Is it rendered to the level that I initially wanted it to be? Did it meet the stylistic goals that I wanted it to meet? Is it at the level that I really want it to be at, like just fundamentally? And my final stage is peer review. And that's just me sending it to my friends and my family and anyone that I can get a hold of, and seeing what their opinions of my art is. Because at the end of the day, they are my consumers. So it's important for me for my art to be digestible and well appreciated by them. My last question is, what brands do you admire and how did they influence your work? This one's pretty easy for me. I recently got into this muralist and acrylic painter known by Tin100 on YouTube and Instagram. He is very transparent and open about his creative process, and that is something that I largely admire. One, as a content creator, because I feel as though when I think about how I want to be perceived as a content creator in the future, I want to be perceived as someone that's very open and honest about their process, and just very accessible in communication, and easy to talk to, but also easy to understand. And it's not like there's a large disconnect from creator and creation and audience. I like that he keeps all of those things fairly closely knit. One other thing I really largely admire about Tin100 is his visual style and the way that he paints. I find myself implementing a lot of his techniques in my own art, and I also feel like his way of painting is incredibly efficient compared to a lot of other artists that I've seen. It resonates with me, and so I've adopted parts of his process into my process, while still maintaining my own individuality and originality, of course. His process is extremely streamlined, and his art is incredibly captivating. I recommend to anyone. He also has immense work ethic and is constantly pushing out more art than is even seemed to be possible, but it's because his process is so efficient that he's able to do that. And so I guess I really admire the efficiency of his creations and how he does everything from the more creative aspect of painting all the way down to his business. And his business methods are incredibly efficient as well. And he's also very transparent about how he makes his money, how he makes his art, and is just incredibly great at educating his viewers and his admirers about what he's creating. So Tin100 is definitely one of my favorite brands. Those are all of the questions that I have for today. I want to thank you for listening to my interview, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Signing out.